Wait one sec. I'm ready.
All right, the webinar is now live.
Thank you. Good evening and welcome to the February 2nd, 2021 FY2022 Proposed Operating Budget Public Hearing. Before we begin, I would like to ask everyone to silence their devices, and this will help us avoid interruptions for our meeting. Spanish interpretation is available for tonight's meeting. Community members observing this Board of Education public hearing may access Spanish interpretation by clicking the globe at the bottom of the Zoom screen and selecting Spanish. Consecutive interpretation services are available for Spanish-speaking parents and community members who sign up in advance to be provided during their testimony. Ms. Shepherd, would you be willing to convey this information in Spanish for us?
Sí, buenas noches a todos. Vamos a tener interpretación en español para la reunión esta noche. Por favor, refiérese a la pantalla de su perfil de Zoom y hace el clic en la figura del globo. En la parte inferior de su pantalla, seleccione la función de idioma en español para poder escuchar la información en su idioma. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Ms. Shepherd. I am Sonia Williams, the Vice Chair of the Board of Education. Dr. Miller has asked me to express her regret. She had an unavoidable schedule conflict, so I will be presiding over tonight's meeting. The Board of Education has convened this evening for the sole purpose to receive public comments on the fiscal year 2022 operating budget. Before we begin receiving comments from the public, I would like to review our budget timeline. The Board of Education is scheduled to adopt the FY2022 operating budget at its February 25th, 2021 board meeting. The Board of Education recommended budget will then be forwarded to the county executive, who will develop her proposed county budget and present it to the county council in March. In April, the Maryland legislature will adopt its final budget, including the amount for school funding. The county council must adopt its budget for Prince George's County by the end of May. The Board of Education, as necessary, will reconcile its budget to the county's approved budget and approve it at its regularly scheduled meeting in June 2021. Ms. Berkeley, would you please call the roll?
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, everyone. Mrs. Adams Stafford. Mrs. Emmett.
Here.
Ms. Boozer Strother. Mr. Burrows. Mr. Burrows.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yep. Ms. Boozer Strother.
She's there. I think she's on
I
mute.
see you, but I can't hear you. It's okay. Mr. Harris. Ms. Jackson.
Present.
Mr. Montero.
Here.
Hold on.
Mr. Murray.
Here.
Mrs. Queen.
Present.
Mrs. Shepherd.
Here.
Mr. Thomas. Mr. Valentine.
Here.
Mrs. Williams.
Present.
Dr. Miller. Absent. And Miss Boozer Strother, can I get you to wave your hand? Even if you can't speak. There you go. Thank you. Got it.
Thank you, Ms. Berkeley. Now we will hear from our registered speakers for public comment. This is the board's opportunity to hear from the public, so board members will not address any comments now. It is time for public comments, and we have registered speakers for this evening. The list of speakers are posted on the board docs for the community's reference, and speakers will be called in order. For those who have registered, when you hear your name called, you may begin your testimony. You will have 3 minutes to present your remarks. You will have 3 minutes to address the board. At the end of your time, you may complete that sentence only. You may not relinquish any part of your speaking time to any other registered or unregistered speaker. Your adherence to this guideline will enable the public comment process to move smoothly. So we will now move to our list of speakers. And the first speaker is Grisela Navaria, a 9th grade student at the International High School at Langley Park.
Just a point of order, Mrs. Williams, I am actually not showing that the first couple of speakers have shown up in the attendees. While I double check for them, Portia Deal is available if you would like to acknowledge her as a speaker.
Okay, we'll start with Portia Deal. And when we get to the last speaker, Tiffany Bolin, we'll start back up at the top. Is that okay? Ms. King?
She went out.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Ms. Portia Deal, you now have the floor.
Good evening, Dr. Golson and the board members. My name is Portia Deal. I'm a special education English 9 teacher at Parkdale High School and the Prince George's County Education Association Special Education Committee Chair. Speaking for the committee members, we applaud the concessions that are being made to assist special educators and service providers in complying with the federal and state mandates. In spite of these concessions, special educators are continually becoming more disheartened by the increasing administrative caseloads and teaching responsibilities. A couple of examples of many shared at a recent PGCEA meet and greet function for the special educators and service providers expressed the concerns of a special education chairperson and a special education elementary teacher. Concern 1, quoted by the special education chair. What about compensation for special education teacher vacancies? For example, there has been a vacancy at my school since last year. As chair, I have been doing all of that paperwork plus my own caseload, which has been 20 to 38 students. Every Medicaid log, every IEP, held every IEP meeting. I am not servicing the students, but the paper is on me 100% because of an unfilled vacancy. Concern 2, quoted by an elementary special education teacher. Has PGCPS ever considered changing the role of special educators to separate the duties? Teachers that complete the paperwork versus teachers that teach SPED students. The workload is enormous, especially in elementary schools. Please consider this. The special education and service providers appeal to you to provide more funding for staffing so that we may increase best practices when servicing our students, reduce the paperwork to ensure compliance, and increase the retention of special educators and service providers for the betterment of educating our special education population in Prince George's County Public Schools. Thank you for hearing the appeal from the Prince George's County Education Association Special Education Committee and your continual dedication to all students in Prince George's County Public Schools.
Thank you, Ms. Steele. Next up, we have Teresa Dudley from PGCEA.
Good evening, everyone. Am I unmuted?
We can hear you.
Okay, good. Good evening, everyone. And thank you for having this meeting tonight. I didn't realize to be up so fast. I would have stood up sooner because I want to make sure that I show my shirt because this is Black Lives Matter in Schools Week. And we have many of our students who are suffering great trauma because of the social unrest that has been plaguing our country. And PGCEA has been working with Black Lives Matter in schools. And we want to say that we do appreciate Dr. Golson's efforts this summer and having the bias book study, which I participated in and was a group leader in. However, I think one of the things that we need to really have a conversation with about this week is how are we going to implement a culturally rich curriculum for our students? I know there was discussion about this in some of the subcommittees, but I do think that as we look for our budget, we need to make it a priority. And it's not just Black Lives Matter, it's Brown Lives Matter, it's everyone's lives matter. When we look at our community schools, we need to make sure that there is funding there this year to maintain the work that we've already started. It is our goal to push and push and push for the blueprint to be approved so that the money that has been coming for community schools continues. I want to piggyback also on what Ms. Portia Deal was commenting on when she was discussing the enormous caseload and the inequities in our special education department. It's not just special ed, it's all of our related service providers. When we start talking about school psychologists being overwhelmed, guidance counselors, professional school counselors being overwhelmed, and then given extra assignments, the guidance counselors have a different look because they're now 10-month employees, but a lot of the work that they do, they have to do over the summer. So we would like to see the school professional school guidance counselors move to either an 11-month or a 12-month program so that the money, so that we can make sure that the job that they need to do gets done. And it is a seamless way that they are reimbursed and compensated. Speech pathologists, we are short-staffed there. The speech pathologists are overwhelmed. And one of the biggest issues we're facing right now is attendance, especially in this time of COVID. And our PPWs and our guidance counselors are doing the best they can to try to keep up, but the caseloads are overwhelming. And what we're asking for you is to take a look at the budget and see how we can address these issues. I just want to thank you again, Dr. Golson, for making sure that our educators are beginning the vaccination process. And I do hope that we keep our educators and our students and our families safe by making sure our schools are safe before we reopen. Thank you.
Sonia Williams is muted.
Thank you. Ms. Jana Parker, you're up.
My name is Jana Parker. So we'll start there. First of all, thank you so much for allowing us to come up and speak before you, the board. And it's wonderful to see everyone on here. Dr. Golson, it's wonderful to see you after all these very much months. I'm so used to seeing you in person. I just want to say hi, and I'm glad to see your smiling face and to see that everyone is doing well. I'm going to not even go my full 3 minutes. I'm going to just hit the points. First, we want to reallocate security funding to mental health supports and services to Prince George's County schools, specifically to supports for ELL, ESOL, special education, mental health guidance counselors, and the like, along with asking for a reallocation of security services funding to go to those things. I am making the request that the school board, along with the administration, request that the monies granted from the county council for SROs be reallocated directly to the school budget for you to use as you see fit, but primarily under the thought process of going to mental health, as well as having additional funding for speech pathologies. Also, to include, I say this every year, I'm going to say it again, more oversight for charter schools. As a former educator and having as a former educator long in charter schools, I am just encouraging that there is more oversight and funding directly to the charter school office to provide more oversight and support for that particular area, as well as homeschool. I feel as though a lot more parents in Prince George's County might look at that as an option. And I feel like we need to make sure that there is going to be a cushion for that in regards to providing support for homeschooling. Just if parents in Prince George's County choose that as an option, being able to make sure that they are able to implement it correctly. I'm saying this from the perspective of a former educator. And in regards to charter schools, that again, that's for oversight. Also to ensure that there's more funding for tutoring programs to address any learning gaps and free summer school options for all Prince George's County Public Schools. I know that that's a big request because I understand the financial cost that comes with that. I know, but I also know Dr. Golson is an actuary of sorts and is very wonderful with money. So if anyone can figure out how to do it, it's definitely Dr. Golson. So that is a request. And finally, Black and Brown competency for all staff, really focusing in on that and ensuring that all staff, no matter your position, really understand Black and Brown students and our students that come from different countries. That's extremely important in regards to cultural competency. And those are just my things. And thank you so very much.
Thank you, Ms. Parker. Next up, we have Ms. Janice Ms. Janice Creamer.
Hi, Dr. Golson and board members. I'm Janice Creamer. I'm here in my role as a county speech pathologist, asking if you would help provide safe services, help us provide safe services in the following, by following the recommendations by the American Speech and Hearing Association, ASHA. Speech is a spitty service for many reasons. Delays in oral motor skills cause students to drool or spit as they try to produce the sounds they are learning. Under normal circumstances, in my 34 years, students sitting 6 feet away from me have released spit that has landed on my face and in my eyes. Under normal circumstances, that's not such a big deal. I'm concerned that I don't see provisions for the level of PPE in the reopening plan that ASHA, the American Speech and Hearing Association, recommends for school speech pathologists. In the reopening plan, it says we'll be provided with the blue one and done procedure masks. But in our unique setting, ASHA recommends more precautions. Speech pathologists need desktop plexiglass screens, clear face masks, and eye protections. The student's ability to see a speech pathologist's mouth and facial expression is paramount. ASHA recommends clear masks and face shields be provided for SLPs to make their mouths visible when working with students to remediate speech and sound disorders, social skill training, and they are also recommended for working with students who are deaf and hard of hearing. The other additional thing is CDC recommends working with the same group of students on a regular basis to reduce the spread of COVID. But speech pathologists work with many different students throughout the week and may travel to multiple schools and that creates a greater risk. So the CDC recommends the provision of telework as an option. Finally, as a school system, we need to consider the muffling of speech that happens when instruction is delivered behind a mask all day. Individual microphones for teachers using FM systems when working with students who are hard of hearing, have communication disorders, or are English language learners is important. These already exist in some of the schools, but may need to be repaired and put in working order. It's important that our students hear our instruction. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Creamer. For those participants, we would ask that you log in or change your name in the Zoom to match the name that you have registered under so that we will be able to pull you up in the proper order. Next up is Ms. Erica Farrell. Ms. Battle. Ms. Erica Battle.
Point of order, we'll move to Loretta Wilson, if that's all right with you, Ms. Chair.
I see.
Yes, and she just, I'm not sure what happened to her. So we shall work with Tiffany Bowling.
Miss Tiffany Bowling, you may begin.
Yes, hi. Greetings, Madam Chair, Dr. Golson, and distinguished board members. I am Dr. Bolin Johnson, speaking as a pupil personnel worker. We are a small unit of just under 50 people charged with bridging the gap between students, families, schools, and the community in efforts to remove barriers that may impede a child's access to education. We address attendance to re-engage students through collaborative work with school teams and community partners. The social emotional well-being of not only staff but also students is essential to the work we do to promote mental well-being and emotional health. As such, we serve a body that utilizes resources to partner with other PGCPS departments, stakeholders, and community partners to link students and families with such needed mental health supports both pre-COVID and presently. PPWs collaborate with principals and school staff on alternatives to suspension to assist in reducing the disproportionate number of special education and students of color being suspended. Uh, our unit our unit workers to protect the rights of students and their families as well as those of the school system to mitigate misunderstandings that may proved to be costly to the system and to promote an atmosphere conducive to teaching and learning for all students and staff. Our unit is small, but we touch the lives of every student. We therefore humbly ask for resources to address the needs of our constituents as we have caseloads that reach upwards of 4,000 students. Students, parents, and schools would be better served if there were more pupil personnel workers so that we could work more intensely with all stakeholders. Additionally, the pupil personnel worker position in neighboring jurisdictions are either 11 or 12-month positions. As a large, predominantly African American, Latino, and people of color locale, we should strive to provide year-round service to our constituents to help them diminish the educational achievement gap. We need to give our students and families more services to promote academic success and emotional support for all our students. So please assist students and families by A, hiring more pupil personnel workers, B, making the position 12 months to serve families year round, and C, ensuring that pupil personnel workers have fair and equitable caseload. Thank you so very much for your time. Happy New Year to you all and enjoy your evening.
Thank you and Happy New Year, Miss Bowling. Next up is Miss Loretta Wilson. You may begin, Miss Wilson.
Hi, good evening, Dr. Goldson and board members. I am Loretta Wilson, Vice President of John Hanson Montessori PTSA. Actually, we had another member, Erica Farrell, who was trying to, our president, who was trying to get in, but I'll represent her. We want to, first of all, thank you so much for all the work that you've done. I'm here to represent almost 300 members, and we've had nothing but great reviews from the work that's been done during the pandemic. But I am here now to really speak on behalf of the school and PTSA on the capital improvement piece of the operating budget. John Hanson Montessori has asked in the past for a new building. This now has become a bigger issue as we turn to in-person learning. And a lot of concerns are from parents. We had HVAC situations and issues before the pandemic. Parents are concerned about filtration and coming back. So I'm here to represent them. I was urged to speak on behalf of the members, just to ensure that money is really in place for John Hanson Montessori. It's a wonderful program, but we're in an old building. Our building was built in 1956. We have shared the building with many different schools in the past as well. And the building needs improvement. And as we look to going back, we want to make sure that the kids are safe, as I'm sure we all do, and that we have certain HVAC and filtration system put in place, as well as looking forward to being moved up on the CIP list. So I thank you for hearing the concerns today. Again, I'm representing John Hanson Montessori PTSA and our almost 300 members. Have a good night.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. Next up, we have Fiona Walker. Ms. Fiona Walker, you may begin.
Hi, good evening. Thank you, everyone, for listening to me today. I'm sorry, my Alexa is going off. I just want to say that many children are diagnosed with ADHD and struggle with reading. My child is experiencing that, ADHD, and has dyslexia, and they usually co-occur. And from my experience so far, I am wondering what will happen when all the children return back to school and most kids are delayed because of the virtual learning. How are the services? Are services still going to be, the kids with special needs, are they still going to be able to get all the services they need, since there's going to be such a large learning gap? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Walker. As a reminder for those that are waiting to speak, please make sure that your name matches the name that you registered under. Ms. King, do we have any other speakers ready to speak?
I have checked the list and I don't have any more registered speakers that I show who have signed in.
And Ms. Erica Farrell, she was disconnected.
That was actually Erica. That was a different Erica.
Oh.
I have a notification. There's one person who's just listed as Mark. That may be Mark Johnson, who has registered. So if you'd like, I can move him over to see if that is indeed the correct person.
Yes. Please move him over.
Yes, I am the. Yes, I am the correct. Yes, I am the correct person. Good afternoon. On the absence of Madam Honorable Chair, Dr. Miller, congratulates her on upholding her new role, and I thank her for willing to carry out important decisions that impact our entire public school systems, including our children, parents, teachers, and communities in Prince George's County. Personally, as a resident of Prince George's County since 1965, you are no stranger. And more importantly, Prince George's County Public School System could not have a person who I see would serve the population I mentioned above. I want to also thank all the remaining Honorable Vice Chair Williams for upholding her new role as Madam Vice Chair, representing District 9. Board members representing Districts 1 through 8, 3 appointee board members, CEO Dr. Golson for her wonderful work she's doing. Most importantly, board member of all board members, Madam Student Board Member, Nina Jackson. COVID-19 is America's problem, and we are all in this together. I have prepared and emailed my proposal with 4 attachments to all board members, CEO, Prince George's County Public Testimony email, and 4 Black men I have known since kindergarten to help bring all hands on deck to form a COVID-19 parent, pupil, public roundtable task force discussion. Because we are limited to 3 minutes, I request this body to reach back to me via email so that together we can help empower our Men Make a Difference program in days to come. Thank you for allowing me to add my voice to this important audience who I believe shares mutual concerns of ensuring that our children are safe in many areas where COVID-19 attacks people through air, breathing, surface touching, space, environmental, classrooms, hallways, and other areas of concern. I encourage everyone to stay safe as we follow basic health and safety guidelines that comes the people, scientists, doctors, and others who share concerns. Thank you for giving me the time to add my voice to this wonderful group.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson, and thank you for your email. We have no other registered speakers. And so I want to thank everyone for participating in tonight's operating budget public hearing for FY 2022. This will conclude our public hearing. I would like to wish everyone a safe and wonderful rest of your week. Please be safe, mask up, and we'll see you all soon. Thank you. Thank you, board members and staff.